Okay, great. So welcome to the first Solar Philly online webinar workshop. The Solar Philly program is being sponsored, is a community solar program, like programs that have been done in, sorry about that, in Chicago, Connecticut, all over the country. There's been some very successful community solar programs run. And so the Sustainable Business Network and the Clean Air Council would love to have a successful community solar program in Philadelphia so that we can get more solar roofs in Philadelphia. So it's a Solar Northwest Philly is a pilot program. The idea is that we're going to use some Northwest Philly neighborhoods, Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, and Germantown, initially in this pilot program with the goal of, hopefully, if it's successful, using the model to move to other neighborhoods in Philadelphia to help them access this opportunity as well. So the idea is that homeowners all go solar at the same time. There's a set pricing structure, and the more people that sign up to go solar through the program, the larger the group discount. It's based on the number of kilowatts that'll be installed through the program. So the idea is that you get benefits through bulk purchasing and bulk processing of permits, hopefully. You never know with Philadelphia. And so right now it's homeowners in the Northwest Philly area that can participate in this pilot program. So the partners, like I mentioned, are the Sustainable Business Network and the Clean Air Council. They're sponsoring the program, and they put it together. The Energy Co-op also has been a big sponsor. There's other groups like Weaver's Way and some other local organizations in Germantown that are sponsoring workshops and getting the word out. And then the two installers that were selected for the program are Exact Solar and Solar States, both local to the Philadelphia area. And we're from Exact Solar. Or I'm from Exact Solar. So the benefits of solar to Philly, obviously, increased air quality, better or reduced effects on the climate. There's a lot of great roofs in Philadelphia with a lot of solar potential, a lot of great flat roofs and sloped roofs both. And it should hopefully help to create a lot of jobs in the greater Philadelphia area as well, which would be nice. So these are the slides that the Clean Air Council usually goes through, so I'm just going to run through them, talking about the benefits of reducing our fossil fuel usage and using the sun to generate our electricity. So this is kind of a convoluted graph that shows the convoluted way that we generally produce electricity nowadays, digging things up from the ground and burning it and transporting it and having it pollute the air, and kind of a roundabout convoluted way to get our electricity. And then this shows how nice it can be with solar. So the idea is obviously to use the sun's energy directly to generate our electricity without going through all those in-between steps that cause a lot of pollution along the way. So one of the things that many people don't know about Philadelphia is that our air here is quite, it doesn't get great grades, I guess. So we actually get an F for ozone, a D for particulate pollution, and a failing grade annually in particle pollution rating, which I was surprised to find out actually how bad it was. And these are the sources of electricity in the Pennsylvania area. Obviously, we're a huge coal state, and more we're getting our electricity from natural gas, nuclear still around, and renewables and hydroelectric at the bottom there. Very small percentage, and a lot of potential for growth. And you can see here in this chart that we're, well on our way to unprecedented levels of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Today, we hover around 400 parts per million. The scientists say we should, definitely get down to 350 maximum if possible. But if, as you see in that top line there, if we keep going the way we're going, the trajectory doesn't look good. And the chances of our temperatures growing more than the 2% Celsius, the 2 degrees Celsius that scientists say are really the limit of what we could handle, are pretty assured. Oops. Okay. So this talks about smog. We have warmer temperatures, which equal higher number of days of unhealthy ground level ozone. If you live in Philadelphia, you probably hear the red ozone day alerts where they tell you to stay inside, and even healthy people are told that they really shouldn't spend much time outside, especially not doing a physical activity. So the health impacts of smog are respiratory diseases, pneumonia, bronchitis, asthma. They're linked to cancer and lung damage, and emphysema and other things. And so solar has a lot of great potential for, Philly has a lot of great potential for solar. Less than 1% of the city's electricity currently comes from rooftop solar, and estimates are that 20% of the city's electricity needs could actually be fulfilled by solar energy. So this is a nice little chart that the Clean Air Council put in here about how fast the solar industry is creating jobs nationally. So it's kind of a nice thing, and we're hoping that that can spread to the Philadelphia region also. So the estimates are that solar could support over 4,000 jobs a year in this area, and it's less than 100 today. Okay. So I'm going to finish up here and then pass this along to Mark Bortman from Exact Solar, who's going to talk more about solar energy and how the systems work and stuff like that for you. But basically, the group purchasing idea is that with the, like I mentioned, the collective purchasing power, we can reduce our fixed costs and get everyone a solar energy system for a slightly lower price. This just talks about the two installers, Exact Solar, which is who I'm from. We're based in the Yardley, Pennsylvania area, a little outside of Philly in Bucks County. We've been around since 2005, and we just won Best of Philly this past year, so we were very excited about that. And Solar State's also based in Philadelphia, a B Corp, which is great, shows their commitment to the environment and good corporate practices. And they do a lot of educational programming as well to get Philadelphia youths jobs in solar-related areas. So I'm going to pass the baton now to Mark, and he will continue talking about how solar works and the program, how it'll work too.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark with Exact Solar. I would like to try to. I don't really like talking to a computer screen. I'd like to get a little feedback, so I'm going to, if I can, unmute people. Let's see here. Okay, so everyone is unmuted. If you have any questions, feel free to speak out or type them in your little chat box. If you do have dogs or kids or something in the background that's making a lot of noise, you should be able to mute yourself on your end.
Can everyone hear so far and see the screen?
Yeah. Anybody out there? Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay, that's great.
So this is a little diagram of the way solar works. They can see the mouse moving, right? Or
I have no idea.
Hopefully, yeah. Let me know. Can you see the mouse moving on the screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
So solar panels themselves are made out of a silicone semiconductor, a lot like what computer chips are made of. And when the sun shines on solar panels, the solar panels convert the sun's energy to direct current electricity. That direct current electricity comes down a wire to a box called an inverter, and the inverter converts the DC electricity to AC, to alternating current. From there, the electricity is fed right into your house's electric system, usually at the circuit breaker box. So when the sun shines, the electricity comes down into your house and automatically goes into your house and runs anything that needs electricity at that time. Your lights, your washing machine, your fridge, your computers, your air conditioning, anything that needs electricity. If there's times during the day that your solar panels are producing more electricity than you're using at that time, the extra will go out to the electric grid. You sell it back to Pico. Your electric meter spins backwards and you get a credit for it. Then during the times of the day when you need more electricity than your solar panels are producing, it comes in from Pico just like regular now. At the end of the month when you get your electric bill, it will actually say in your bill how much came in from Pico, how much you sent out to Pico, and it'll subtract what you sent out from what came in, which will be the net amount of electricity that you get from the utility, and that's all you're billed for, is just the net amount. It's called net metering. It's a one-for-one exchange, so every kilowatt hour you send out to Pico is worth 1 kilowatt hour that comes in from Pico. This diagram here shows what's called a string inverter, which means that all these panels are wired together in series, producing direct current electricity and coming to one central inverter. For this program, we are going to be installing either microinverters or DC optimizers. The benefit of that is each panel will be allowed to work independently. So if there's some shade or panels are facing different directions, they'll all produce to the best of their ability. In addition, with the DC optimizers or the microinverters, there's monitoring on a panel-by-panel level, so we can see exactly how much electricity each panel is producing. All right. So the two solar panel manufacturers that we've selected for this program are Canadian Solar and Renogy. They are two top-level, high-quality solar panel manufacturers. And as I mentioned, microinverters or solar edge inverters with DC optimizers, the benefits of those are the improved production and monitoring. So right now, solar panels, the cost of a system is lower than ever. When we typically talk about cost for solar panels, we talk about cost per watt of installed power. So because solar electric systems can be all different sizes, they're very scalable. Instead of talking about an overall cost of the system, we talk about it in cost per watt. So that way it makes it easier to compare apples to apples. So for example, most solar panels produce 250 watts of power. So 4 solar panels would be 1,000 watts. 20 solar panels would be 5,000 watts. This chart here shows the cost of systems over the past 5 years. So if you were looking to get a system 5 years ago, the cost per watt would have been around $7.60 a watt. So for a 10 kilowatt system, it would have cost $76,000. Over the past 5 years, that price has come down almost in half. This is from last February. So you can see that there's really been quite a change in the cost of solar panels. Even more so than that now, the starting price for systems in our Solarize program are at $3.50 per watt. So they're even if you were to continue this blue line even further down, it would be even, that's where we're starting. So typically solar panels, people always ask us how fast the savings from the system offsets the cost of the system. Typically, it does vary based on the size of the system, because bigger systems are a little bit, there are economies of scale for bigger systems, but it's usually in 7 to 10 years or faster. The solar panels themselves come with a warranty for 25 years, so you know that they're going to be producing, you're guaranteed that they're going to be producing power for 25 years. So even after the system is paid for itself, you're still going to be getting electricity for free. The return on investment it's an excellent return on investment. It increases your property value. There is a federal tax credit that's worth 30% of the cost of the system that helps bring the cost of the system down. That tax credit is in place right now through the end of 2016. So as I mentioned before, for our Solarize program in Northwest Philly, we have a starting price of $3.50 a watt. This is, as you could have seen from that chart before, it's around a 25% less than the average cost of installations in the area. So there are these things called SRECs, Solar Renewable Energy Certificate, SREC. That is, it's a little bit complicated, but it's an additional way that the solar panels help pay for themselves. Because your solar panels produce electricity from a renewable resource, the system automatically earns these certificates for you. As it says here, we can explain a little bit more during a site visit. Actually, let me skip this for a second. Skip that for a second. Okay, so these are the steps in the process. So the first step is after this webinar, if you're interested and you want to get some more information, you would go to this website, energysage.com/SBN. And I'll put this back up after we're talking, so you can see this website. You'd enter your information there on that website with your address and contact information. Once that's there, either Exact Solar or Solar States, the installer, will be able to look at your house in the satellite photo on the internet and put together some what we call a preliminary proposal that would say how many solar panels we think we can fit on your roof, what the cost would be, what your savings would be, and additional details like that. Once you receive that information, if it's something that you want to take to the next step would be a site visit by the installer to confirm the measurements of the house and to do a shade analysis, just to make sure that the preliminary numbers we put together are accurate, or to update the preliminary numbers to an accurate number. All these steps are free. There's no cost and no obligation. After the site visit is done, a written proposal would be given to you, and if it's something you want to move forward with, in order to be part of the Solarize Philadelphia program and to get the discounts, the contract needs to be signed by the end of February next year. So we'll come back to this website later on so you can make a note of it, but let me just go back. So here, these are the pricing tiers that we mentioned, how the volume discount will work. As I mentioned, the size of solar panels, or the size of systems, we talk about the size of systems in the amount of power that they produce. So an average residential system would be around a 5 kilowatt system, 20 solar panels. So if under this program we get 50 kilowatts or less for people who signed up, which means an average of 10 homeowners or less sign up, then there would be no additional discount. If we get between 51 and 100 kilowatts signed up, which is somewhere between 10 and 20 homeowners, then there'll be an additional 25 cents per watt discount. That's, I think, about 7 or 8%. The next step is between 101 and 150 kilowatts, so 20 to 30 houses. There'd be a 35 cents per watt discount. And if we get more than 150 kilowatts to install, then there'd be a 50 cents discount. That's off the starting price of $3.50. There are financing options. Solar, as we mentioned before, solar is an investment in your home. You're taking what is a monthly liability each month, your electric bill, and you're making an investment in your home, something that's going to last for a long time and pay you back. If you have equity in your home, definitely a home equity loan is a great way to finance the solar energy system. In addition, we've partnered with a bank called Admirals Bank. Admirals Bank has a special solar loan program. So if you don't have equity in your home, the installer can help you get a loan from Admirals Bank that would pay for the solar panels. Whether it's a home equity loan or whether it's this solar loan from Admirals Bank, typically the monthly payment for your loan is about equal to or maybe a little bit less than what you save on your electric bill. So most people are cash flow neutral or maybe even a little cash flow positive right from the start. So this was the slide I showed you before. Here are contact informations for the two different installers from Solar States. The gentleman's name is Akil, and for Exact Solar, the lady's name is Dara. She was the one that was talking a little bit earlier. And Lacey Dickinson is from the SBN, the Sustainable Business Network of Philadelphia. So that covers all of what I had planned to cover, but definitely want to open it up for questions now. So feel free to talk, to ask questions, or type it in the chat box on your website.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
So if I understand right, without any additional volume discounts, the starting price is $3.50 a watt, and average system is 5 kilowatts. So that would be about $17,500 to install an average system?
Yes, that's the price.
Okay.
And then you do get 30% back as a federal tax credit.
Ah, okay. Is there a maximum on that, depending on how much you install?
No, the federal tax credit is on the whole amount. Doesn't matter how big the system is.
Okay, cool.
So when we look at how big of a system to install, there's a couple different factors we look at. One is the size of the roof, because oftentimes that is a limiting factor, just how many solar panels we can actually fit on the roof. And then we also look at your annual electric usage. We want to try and offset as much of your electric usage as possible, but we can't really install so many solar panels that you produce more than you consume on an annual basis.
Is that because you can't get a refund from the electric company? All you can get is offsets against what you use?
It is limited by the electric company, not necessarily because of the what they credit back to you, but because they don't want you to be a net producer, so they limit the size that they allow us to install.
Okay.
So once you sign up, once the contract is signed, the first steps that we do as the installer is we apply to PECO for interconnection, and we submit paperwork to the city for building and electric permits. And so part of the interconnection application is we need to tell them how much the system is going to produce and how much you consume on an annual basis so they can approve it.
Can I ask you one other question about how the credit towards your bill works?
Sure.
So my electric bill is broken down into generation cost and transmission cost. Does the electricity I produce offset both of those, or only one or the other?
Both of those. Both of those. What happens is both your generation and transmission costs are based on the amount of kilowatt hours that you use.
Yeah.
And so with net metering, your PECO keeps track of the amount of kilowatt hours, the net amount of kilowatt hours that you use in your home, and then that amount is multiplied by the generation and transmission.
Okay.
So you do save both of those.
Thanks.
Mark, I have a question about the certificates.
Okay.
Just roughly, what could you expect to gain as far as payments from that?
So it depends on the size system, you know, how many solar panels you install. You earn one of those certificates, an SREC, for every 1,000 kilowatt hours that your system produces. So for example, the 5 kilowatt system, which is the average system that I mentioned, you would probably earn one certificate every 2 months or so, maybe a little bit more frequent than that. Right now in Pennsylvania, and so those certificates can be bought and sold just like stocks, and naturally the price is based on supply and demand. Demand is actually set by the state legislature. They require the utilities to buy a certain percentage of their power from renewable resources, and the way the utilities make up that percentage is by buying these certificates, because each certificate represents a block of power from a renewable resource. Since Pennsylvania is a very heavy coal and now natural gas state, the amount that the utilities need to buy is not very great. So those certificates right now are only worth about $20 a piece, $25 a piece. You know, if you get an average size system around 5 kilowatts, you're looking at $120 to $150 a year.
Okay. And when you're producing electricity for PECO, what rate are they buying it at?
So it's a one-for-one exchange. As I mentioned before, every kilowatt hour you send out to PECO is worth 1 kilowatt hour that comes in.
So whatever rate you're currently paying.
So, and doesn't that vary depending on the demand at that particular time?
No. Right now, PECO does not have variable pricing or time of day pricing. The price that you pay per kilowatt hour is the same all month long.
Okay.
So one thing I do want to add there is, that was a good question. Everyone doesn't pay the same rate per kilowatt hour on their electric bill, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that it's a deregulated market, and now there's all these third-party providers in the market. So there's a couple things to think about with that. They have different rates for the electricity, so whatever rate you're currently paying, that's the rate you know, that you would get reimbursed for per kilowatt hour. So whatever rate you're paying is the value of that kilowatt hour. And then also, if you with net metering in certain months, if you have enough panels on your roof, there may be certain months of the year when your panels generate more electricity than you use. Like, for example, in maybe May, when the air conditioning isn't on yet and the days are long and the sun is out a long time during the day, so our lights aren't on as much. The shoulder months between winter and summer can be months when your system is generating more than you're using. If your system is close to generating 100% of your usage over the course of a year, you get a credit for that month to month if you with certain third-party providers and with PICO. So if you're with PICO, you get that credit. With certain third-party providers, you also can get that credit, but not all of them will give you that credit. So if you have a contract with a third-party provider now that you're locked into, you do want to call them and ask them, do you provide this credit from 1 month rolling forward to the next if my solar energy system generates more electricity than I use in a given month? That's definitely something to ask about. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thanks. I have a few questions. One is, if you have in this area, especially in Chestnut Hill and in Mount Airy, I think there are a lot of sort of slate roofs, sloped slate roofs. Is there any possibility that the panels can work on those types of roofs? I've heard that I heard not, but.
Right. So slope roofs are not a problem.
Yeah.
Slate roofs are a bit of a problem, or not a bit of are definitely
Okay.
a problem. Slate breaks very easily.
Right.
So we tend to shy away from installing anything on slate roofs. It is possible,
Okay.
but essentially what you have to do is wherever the solar panels are going to be attached to the roof, you have to take the slate off, put these special hooks in, and then put the slate back in. So it's very labor intensive, and anytime you're walking or working on a slate roof, there is the possibility of breaking the slates. So
Yeah.
we really would try to avoid that.
Okay. My other questions, I guess, are a little bit academic, but they might be helpful for other folks then.
Sure.
One is it, so does this replace your electric as opposed to your gas? And so you'll still be using the same amount, so PGW, whoever ends up acquiring it, if that happens, is it that you would continue to use the amount that you use, or can it generate both?
So typically, your gas, if you have natural gas, that is used for heating your home, heating your water, sometimes cooking, sometimes a dryer. The solar panels that we're talking about generate electricity. So if you want to reduce your gas usage, then if your solar panels are producing electricity, you would need to change, for example, your water heater from a natural gas water heater to an electric water heater, or to a solar water heater, but that's a topic for a different conversation.
Okay, and then two more questions. One is, with snow and ice, do those cause big problems with the solar panels, or is that older models of the solar panels?
Well, certainly if a solar panel is covered with snow, it's not going to produce very well because light's not going to get through to it. But solar panels are covered with glass, and they're dark colored. Glass is relatively slippery compared to a regular roof. So even if a solar panel does get covered with snow, usually once the sun comes out, the snow melts and slides off it very quickly. Last year was a particularly snowy winter, but at our house we have solar panels installed. I think the longest our solar panels were covered with snow and not producing was 2 days.
Okay. Then the last question is, how does this compare normally to? I know geothermal is totally different, and that's in the ground, but that's another thing that a lot of people have been hyping lately. So as a more environmentally friendly source of energy.
Right. So geothermal is a different technology. Geothermal is a great way to efficiently heat and cool your home, but that's what it does. It heats and cools your home. It uses electricity to heat and cool your home, and it uses the constant temperature of the earth to do it very efficiently, but it's not really. It's a whole different animal than solar panels. These solar panels generate electricity, and that electricity ties into your house's electric system and can be used to run anything that needs electricity. If you have a geothermal HVAC system, the electricity from your solar panels could run that, run your fridge, run your air conditioner, anything. So geothermal is a very efficient way to heat and cool your home, but it's not really comparable to. It's something completely different than the solar panels.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, I had a question.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I had a question. I missed the first couple minutes of the presentation, so hopefully I'm not like rehashing old stuff here. But I get that you need the solar panels to get the the solar energy. But I was curious like how it ties into the existing electrical system. If there's like an additional I don't know, so to speak, electrical cord that goes to the electrical system, and how it just how it ties in and everything.
The most common way we tie it in is just another circuit breaker in your circuit breaker box.
Okay, so there's nothing.
Go ahead.
There's no like I don't know other machinery or so to speak that you would put and run down into the basement or anything like that.
So there are wires that go from the roof down to the basement or wherever your circuit breaker box is, but there's no need to flip switches or turn dials or anything like that. It all happens automatically. That when your solar panels are producing electricity, it gets backfed right into your existing circuit breaker box and goes to power anything in your home that needs electricity.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But it also has the inverter.
Excuse me?
But it also, I mean, you're also using the inverter. I think that's what he was looking for.
Oh, yeah. So the solar panels do produce DC, direct current electricity, and we do need to convert that to alternating current, and that's the inverter that does that. But again, it all happens automatically. So the alternating current comes out of the inverter, whether it's the SolarEdge inverter or the N-phase microinverters, and gets fed right into your circuit breaker box.
I have a question.
Yep.
How important is the facing direction of the slope of the roof, and can you install the panels on a cedar shape?
Okay, so the first part of the question is the orientation of the roof. Ideally, we want it facing south, but really, depending on the steepness of the roof, we can put them on east-facing or west-facing roofs. Or if a roof does not have a very steep slope at all, we could even put it on a north-facing roof. You do lose a little bit of productivity by not facing south, but as long as it's not a very steep slope, it's not a very big loss of production. We can put them on cedar-shaped roofs, depending on how steep the roof is and the condition of the cedar shakes. We prefer not to. We prefer just regular composite shingles. But if cedar shakes are what you have on your roof, then it is something that we can take a look at. Whether it's a cedar shake roof or a composite shingle roof, there are special flashings that we use wherever we need to make a penetration to attach our rails to the house. There are special aluminum flashings that slide up under the shingles or under the shakes to make sure that all those penetration points are protected. As I mentioned, the solar panels come with a 25-year warranty. Their life is probably 30 to 40 years. So we want to make sure that any holes we make in your roof are going to be protected and not leak over the life of the system. Actually, let me just take a quick step back here for this is a picture of a flat roof. If you have a flat roof, there are these special trays that we use that hold the solar panels in place, and we use concrete ballast blocks to hold those trays in place. So on a flat roof, we actually don't make any penetrations in the roof. So that way we're sure not to have any leaks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me go back to this page with the contact information. So here's the website if you're interested in signing up. Again, it's no cost, no obligation. If you register on this website, one of the installers will get your contact information and put together some preliminary information for you. And if you have any questions, here's contact information for the two installers, whether it's Solar States or Exact Solar. I'm happy to answer any more questions if people still have questions, though.
Just a quick one. What determines which installer you use?
That's a good question. What determines which installer they?
It's just if you want to select one, I think there's an option to select a specific one. If you have friends or neighbors who have had an installation by one of us and you want to select one specifically, you can. Or we're just splitting the leads evenly. Basically, the quotes should be the same because of the pricing structure is already being set. You'll get a call from one of us basically once you put your request in through Energy Sage, and we would get back to you to do a proposal.
No, thanks.
Okay. So if you have any more questions, I'll be hanging around. Feel free to stick on the line. But if not, I appreciate you attending our webinar. And let us know, either go to the Energy Sage platform or sign up, or send us an email, and we'll be happy to get you some more information.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Sounds great.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.